Mutable signs. Hello, mutable signs. I was going to start with Pisces and work backwards, but then I saw Mars and Gemini and Sun in Gemini when I was pre-shuffling. So we're going to start with Gemini and then move forward. Today is going to be the conclusion of this thing I'm doing, where we look at, I think I called it like what and how or something like that. The other day, now, I was shuffling the wild unknown. Oops, I'm not trying to pay. I was shuffling the wild unknown alchemy deck, and I saw why salt and separation. And then I was like, oh, so it's like you separate the salt out of a solution. And then for some reason, my brain went to like administering that white salt. And it was like, oh, you may like dilute it again and have somebody drink it, inject it. You can make a salt tablet and put it in a glass of water or under someone's tongue, or methods of administration, you know? Because sometimes, even if we have an overabundance of something, if our bodies can't break it down and absorb it, then it's like not having anything at all. So that was the general behind the whatever. That's the way I guess I ended up here. We've done earth signs and cardinal signs and fixed signs incidentally, if that's the word I want to use. Just by a roll of the dice. And so I'm doing timestamps as I do this, so that's why I'm like typing. We'll say 2 minutes for Gemini. Let's get into it. I got 15 more seconds. It's fine. Today I've used a different oracle deck every time. Excuse me. And today I'm using the Mystical Shaman oracle cards. So again, like yesterday, I'm interested to, even the day before, I guess, I'm interested to see how the oracle cards play into this. Happy Cancer season, summer solstice. My brain was like, equinox? No. Happy summer solstice, happy Cancer season. Happy belated birthday, Gemini. The Outlaw and the Ten of Swords at the bottom of the deck, with the Stronghold of the Flame under that Ten of Swords. On the lamb, that's what it is. Is Gemini on the lamb? I think there's an energy here about something that has survived an encounter, or something that has survived I don't want to say annihilation. And for some reason, a seed of rebellion popped into my mind. Because it's like this Ten of Swords happened, but there was something left. And over time, that thing has been like maturing and gaining power. Now, that could easily be like wisdom from a lesson or from an experience, from a particularly not great one, because it is the Ten of Swords, but this is also Sun and Gemini. Let's see how this is administered. Sacrifice and Redemption is the Outlaw. I don't know if I've ever read that. I mean, I'm sure I have, but I do not remember that at all. sacrifice and redemption. Apocalypse, last judgment. This feels like the tension. Bottom of the deck is the necromancer, gateway of resurrection. Lots of like Piscean energy, Gemini. Apocalypse and the tension, last judgment, and the two of orbs is what came out. So this feels like the tables have turned. This feels like there's something that you went through or experienced that maybe was very unfair. But like you survived, you continued to build yourself up. There's something that you've accomplished despite challenges or difficulties. And it's almost like there's going to be a role reversal. Kirsty, I've come to expect you at this time. How are you doing today? I had an interesting dream last night. So I'm good, but I'm just like, that was interesting. Somebody else had this card. I don't remember which sign it was. It might have been Aries. It might not have been. But there was something about the completed Kabbalah world tree being like, or tree of life or whatever, being in someone's hands rather than in the lover's card that's like separate. Malkut is not beneath Yesod. But with this tension, I gotta pay attention because my number one fan maybe texted me today. With this two of orbs here, it feels like someone's like switched out Malkut. Potentially. So it's almost like, Gemini, you're being put in a situation where it's like breaking chains, breaking karma, breaking cycles, rather than continuing to perpetrate and perpetuate. You have an opportunity. And Malkut is how everything sort of manifests in the world. So it doesn't necessarily change the ingredients, but it does change the outcome by the proportions that they're used in, or by the cooking preparation or something like that. Number 13, the Sweat Lodge. Sweat Lodge is about, today at least, it's about purification. And the crow came out. You're in such an interesting position, Gemini. And again, like gateway of resurrection, the necromancer there, we see Anubis with his scales. I feel like more often than not, when I see the scales of Anubis isn't actually like holding them or near them. It's usually someone else. So I guess there's almost this question of if you've been changed by something. that you've gone through, or if you've been changed by something that happened to you, who you have become. Interesting. It feels like that's it. It's relatively short. I mean, that's it. And I guess you'll know. I think a lot of times we as people, we think that we are one way, or we think we would do something. I think a lot of times we like to play in the realms of the imaginal and the hypothetical. And well, if that were me, if that was me, then I wouldn't have done this and I wouldn't have done that. Or if that was me, then I would have done this and I would have responded like that. I wouldn't have been affected by this. And it's like a game of would you rather until it happens. When we're not in a situation, we can think we'll do whatever. We can say we'll do whatever. We could truly, in our heart of hearts, believe we would make a certain choice or decision. But when it actually happens, what do we do? And so maybe this is an opportunity to either find out who you really are for one, or to find out that things aren't necessarily always so like black and white. Maybe you'll surprise yourself with what you choose to do. 1354. I feel like I didn't really read The Crow, but I feel like there isn't much to say about it. Like The Crow, it feels like an observer. I guess it's observing your choice or decision in some kind of manner. Maybe the crow is someone intangible or tangible that has heard you say, or that you've told, like, oh, well, if this ever happens for me, or if that ever happened to me, then I would do this or I would do that. And maybe it's just like watching to see what it is that you actually do. Excuse me. This could also be, again, like there is, with that seed of rebellion, um, there is something inside of you that would not do what another may have chosen to do. Because again, still with the tension, there's this possibility to break chains and to start a new cycle, to make the choice that no one else in the world would make. And that could be like if you're presented with two options, to choose a third or something like that. And this could be like Spirit, the crow, that is waiting to witness the birth of something new in the world through you. With all this Pisces energy, and then Jupiter and Capricorn, it is given like 12th house type energy. If you don't know what the 12th house is, Google it. The 12th house is like the house of hidden things. So maybe it's like the hidden self. Maybe it's hidden even from you. Maybe not. I feel like this is a mix between the cardinal trailblazing type of energies and the fixed, like knowing deeply who you are and being that person. Ugh. I need to retwist my hair and shave all this. That curl into my mouth. Anyway. Or there's like something about getting you somewhere. Because it feels like the crow. Because I've been noticing this bird up here. As this person is walking through the sweat lodge, there's this bird up here. And so maybe the crow is just to get you to a certain point, or the crow is to make sure you get to your destination. And this is just the beginning. I want to say your mind will be your greatest ally in whatever this is. Because again, there's something about something being different. Like this would be you actually doing the different thing. Right? Like again, like it's easy to say that, oh, if I were in that situation, this is what I would have done. And then we get put in that situation. And sometimes the thing that we think we would have done is the hard thing. But this would be you doing the hard thing. Or at least that's how it's reading. That's the vehicle of it. But also at the same time, I don't know if it necessarily feels complete. I don't know if it necessarily feels complete or concrete. Like, I don't know if it necessarily precipitates something tangible and like immediately, visibly very different. Because with the tension, it's like the rope is starting to fray. There's like a single twine or whatever that's still connecting these two. And again, because of the moon energy, because of this 12th house Piscean energy, it could be something that nobody ever sees. Like this could be a choice that you make that has huge implications or potentials of impact. But again, it's not necessarily happening under the sun. It's happening under the moon. We're not in Gemini season anymore. You know, we've already moved into Cancer season. So it could also be something that's like after attention has shifted away from it, which again, like if attention has shifted away and you're in a challenging predicament, it could be a lot easier to make a certain choice. No one's looking, no one's watching, nobody would know except for this crow that's like above the sweat lodge, just like, are they going to go in it? Are they going to come out? But no one would know. I don't know. Interesting. That's what I got for you, Gemini. I got you a few more minutes. I guess I could have shuffled and stuff before I'll say 19 minutes for Sagittarius. TTARUS. That'll give me 30 seconds to shuffle these cards. The Thunder Serpent. That's interesting. Okay. I'm trying to not necessarily rush, but hurry a little bit. All right, Sagittarius. This is your reminder that timestamps on this channel are an approximation. Let's see what's up. If I had to where's Sagittarius's vibe? Ooh, I don't know, but my heart immediately was like, I feel like my heart is in my throat a little bit. Cause I feel it here, but it felt like my heart. I'm like, this is weird. Unless Sagittarius got some kind of throat chakra. I don't even know what that would be. It feels like it's located in the throat, but it feels like the heart. Maybe Sagittarius is like not being vulnerable. I mean, yes, but I wouldn't necessarily call it vulnerable. I mean, it is. Hey, Holly, how you doing? It is vulnerable, but I feel like I don't know. The feeling is starting to like fade, so but it was like immediate. I was like, ooh. Like it is vulnerable, but I wouldn't call it being vulnerable. Um Maybe it's like letting your desires be known. I don't know if it's something around like I don't want to say a fear. I don't know if it's something around like a history of disappointment. I don't know why one wouldn't voice what their desires are. It feels like communicating a dream or something like that. So it's like it's these words that come from the heart, but they don't come from the heart in like a super emotional type. Like they're words from the heart about the self. I feel like when they're words from the heart about someone else, it's more like this is how I feel about you, or this is how you make me feel. And but when it's words from the heart about self, again, it's like it's communicating something about self, something like a dream or something like a desire. And so it involves a certain vulnerability. But again, it's not necessarily vulnerability in a way that I feel like we typically think of it. There she is. Sorry, one second. What time is it? Yeah, something like that. Oopsie, there it is again. I can almost feel it. Because I guess like the throat would be more. It's like the base of the throat, the bottom of the voice box. I don't know anatomy. I was gonna say, when like the esophagus opens up into the chest cavity. I don't know. It's like right there. Hey, David, how you doing? Interestingly enough, though, for some reason, I feel like that could also be swallowing someone else's truth. But typically, it would enter through the ears and not the mouth. So it's weird. Like, what else for Sagittarius? Like, if I tap into Sagittarius, it's just like this feeling, like right here. Oh. All right, Sagittarius. Let's see. Moon and Sagittarius. Interesting. I think Leo got the maladies yesterday. Moon and Sagittarius. Or is this just like the soft side of Sagittarius? I don't know. Let's see. The Corruptor with the Seeker at the bottom of the deck. The title card is at the top. The Corruptor. This is Venus in Scorpio. So if you're a Sagittarius, your Venus could be in Scorpio. I think Venus typically at the most is like 2 signs away from the sun. And Mercury will be like 1 sign away. So like if you're a Libra sun, then your Mercury will be between Virgo and Scorpio. It'll be either Virgo, Libra, or Scorpio because Mercury is so close to the sun typically. I guess if we think of it as, oh, what Sagittarius placement or what about Sagittarius that this resonates for you would specifically resonate for you. But Scorpio lags behind Sagittarius. It's a sign behind. So this would be Venus. Not, because this isn't Venus in Libra. I don't even think there is a Venus in Libra, but it's not her. So it's not like the laggiest, I guess you could say it could be. The Seeker and Corruption. This could also be because there was something about communicating a dream almost. Maybe this has been a Sagittarius that's been like living their life for maybe not necessarily for themselves. I don't know if it's because Sagittarius has necessarily known better or known different. It's almost like, you know, when Sagittarius was a young, impressionable, whatever, they encountered something or someone that planted a dream within their mind or placed an expectation on them. And they've been living according to that dream or expectation that was implanted within them that isn't genuinely theirs. I don't know if I would necessarily view Sagittarius as a typically impressionable energy. Like, I feel like I wouldn't see Sagittarius as impressionable, but then that would be me denying a certain part of Sagittarius that is. And maybe the impressionability is more so like a curiosity than being impressionable. Almost like, you know, Sagittarius is almost like Gemini, but is a curious little whatever. And someone says something and Sagittarius is like, oh no, that's not true. But then it's almost like that sits within Sagittarius. And it's like Sagittarius is like, that isn't true. Like, that's not how it works. Like, is it? I was like, no. And then it kind of sort of like burrows into the brain. And it's like, well, let me go and once and for all prove that this is or isn't true. Type, whereas it feels like Gemini would just be like more like say less. You said that, and Gemini is already pulling up at the vet, you know, as a young, curious pup before they're traumatized, before they learn to fear the word vet, you know. That may be a little extreme, but with the seeker here, spirit in search of science. Maybe it's more like there's a truth that Sagittarius is finding, and that like swallowing a truth. And it's because of a path. It's almost like it's because of a path. This is almost giving me what's a thing where you're like there's a course and there are boundaries and you have to like not touch the things on the side. So you like slowly move through this like twisting, turning, winding, whatever. Like Flappy Bird, I guess. Sagittarius is giving me Flappy Bird energy. But you're trying to like navigate the course and not run into the pipes or whatever. And there's a certain, like, while navigating through this corruption and doing one's best to not get corrupted, because it feels like if the fire of Sagittarius is strong, it will burn away any poisons. So it's like it's navigating through this corruption while maintaining a certain level of truth or purity, a certain amount of not being corrupted. And then it's like there's a point where I feel like I could say like there's a point where Sagittarius's tolerance is well established, where they become immune, and then they don't have to navigate with that same degree of cautiousness. I'm gonna keep pulling, or something like that, or like there's a point where you clear. Oh look, there's Sagittarius, the angel, with the politic. What's that? Sun in Aries trine Sagittarius. I don't know. It's like there's a certain point where like it makes sense, or where you see the truth, or where you don't have to navigate with as much caution because of how you've developed, or something like that. And that's when like the heart leaps into the throat or something. Moon in Sagittarius again with the Magus, the magician. Divine powers of the mortal spirit is this Magus. Divine powers of the mortal spirit. Interesting. I'm trying to think of who it was yesterday. It was Aquarius, I'm pretty sure, because it had emergence and wisdom. Was it wisdom? And no. It was I think it was the final cards from the Magical Dimensions Oracle cards and activators. It was reflective truth and emergence. It was reflective truth in another card. And it was like, when these two things meet, it's born in another world. And it's almost that energy. It's like, here is the man, here is the beast, here is the, like a representation of the merged a representation of the man that has integrated with its primal nature, and it gives birth to this mortal with the powers of the divine powers of the mortal spirit. And then under the pugilist is the erudite, and under why is this in reverse? I'll put that up right. Under the magus is the force. 98 or 9 and 8, 8, 9. The Hermit in Strength. Now, maybe because like this, let's say Angel is forcing the mouth of this lion open, and the lion would be the beast whose mouth is open. It's almost like this divine, let's say this is a representation of the divine power, is trying to be like force fed to the lion to make this. So maybe this is like not necessarily the journey ain't easy. So, oh my gosh, I hope everything is okay, Holly. Maybe that's a representation of things not necessarily being the easiest. Or maybe almost like Gemini. And I ain't read Pisces yet, so hopefully it's not a theme. I'm kidding. But it's almost like challenging situations or difficult situations that lead to some kind of awareness of self, but it's situations in which no one is like watching. Because I guess the only thing here is the Hermit. And then again, like this angel lady who was like forcing the mouth of the beast open. It's almost like the beast has to swallow the man. Or it could be like if the human spirit reaches a certain level of enlightenment is easy. It's like right there. If the human spirit reaches a certain level if the human spirit like transforms to a certain degree, and there's like a certain amount of healing and a certain amount of awareness and a certain amount of a lot of things that add up to some kind of enlightenment, it's like after that happens within the man, then you have to feed it to the beast. And I feel like a lot of times, I don't know if this is for how I'm like interpreting this Sagittarius in particular, but I feel like a lot of times it's the other way around, where it's like our spirit evolves and we think or we're taught to subjugate our ego, to subjugate and tame the beast like this. Or maybe it's because we see something like this on a depiction of a card like Strength. And we're like, oh, we have to have the will to force the beast into submission. But like, she's like, no, like I'm opening the mouth of this beast so that it can swallow the human. So it can swallow the human spirit. Because the beast is the more primordial part. So that would be like the human spirit would be the salt tablet. That was, I think, Leo yesterday, I think. And I guess this is Leo right there. I'm pretty sure Leo had the Ace of Cups, and it was like that pearl dropping into the cup. Yeah, because Leo was like, it's the liquid inside the vessel. It's not the vessel. It was Leo. This basically becomes the salt tablet. She basically becomes the pearl that when dropped inside of the beast, it purifies the beast. But the beast is the more primordial part. And because the beast is the more primordial part, because it's raw survival instinct, it's more of our nature, and it's closer to what we were created to be and not what we've evolved into. That makes sense. Or at least that's what it's feeling like. But maybe this corruptor is like, if you feed the man to the beast too soon, it will consume the man. And then it's all whatever. The human spirit has to be to the point where it can purify before you drop it into the mouth of the beast, because if not, again, it'll just be corrupted by the beast. Or maybe it's like sometimes if we try to integrate a shadow before it's healed, then it taints and begins to corrupt the person. It's like holding poison close to the bosom, or it's like holding a radioactive whatever close to the bosom. It will irradiate the body and it will wear down the body after a while. But it's through the corruption that you find the medicine. The cure is hidden within the poison. Mars in Leo, the dark horse. Sagittarius, the dark horse with the high priestess at the bottom of the deck. Sanctuary of Isis. Okay. 7 of Cups, 7 of Wands. We got Venus in Scorpio squaring Mars in Leo. Oop, and then the Keeper. Okay. Oop, and then the Necromancer is there again. The Demiurge is behind the Keeper. Venus in Aries. You got the... Oh, I didn't show you. The 10 of Cups. Oh my gosh, and look, there's the Demiurge. Oh, and the Necromancer. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. And the Magus. Are you serious? Cool. So the 10 of Cups was behind, the joyous one was behind the erudite. So on the side of the erudite, the hermit, it was the hermit. No, what was it? It was the magician and the 9 of Wands. Behind the 9 of Wands, the pugilist was the hermit. Behind the hermit was the joyous one, 10 of Cups. But I was like, 10 of Cups, like, that ain't. But here it is again. So apparently it was. This is behind the Seeker. And behind that is the Demiurge, the Necromancer, and the Magus. The Demiurge just came out, the 4 of Wands, with this Keeper. These two just came out together. The Necromancer is at the bottom of the deck now, after these two came out. And then the Magus, we just talked about the Magician. So there is something about navigating. If I would have seen all of these, if I would have looked through the bottom of the first deck before I shuffled out this one, none of these cards would have had any context. They wouldn't have had any meaning. Oh, and then there's the Corruptor. The Tower is behind the Necromancer, and the Corruptor is behind the Tower. Now, in the Corruptor and the Tower, in the In Color edition, this is the axe of Shiva that removes corruption. We see the axe of Shiva that removes corruption in the Corruptor with this mirror of self-reflection. Again, confirming that you're navigating through this, or you navigated through this minefield of corruption while doing your best not to touch the walls or touch the radioactive material to become corrupted yourself. But within, it's by spending enough time in that, you became immune to it or resistant to the charms of whatever corrupts people. And I guess it's you become this dark horse. And it's like, I ain't seeing no Queen of Cups. So this is like the divinity of your human spirit that is now like occupying your body, or that will begin to occupy your body in some kind of way. Like you will merge. And again, that's what the mages said. But the mages here is divinity in man, powers of spirit. You could see the colon. They're kind of like separate. There's the divinity of man, and then there's the power of the spirit. But again, with the mages in the in color edition, with that energy of like feeding the man to the beast, it removes that barrier and it purifies the nature of the whatever, and it lets it be whatever. Now, also in this, so we have the square, right, between Venus and Mars. So maybe this is your like internal feminine, your internal masculine being at odds. Or maybe instead of internal feminine and masculine, again, it's like your primal nature versus your evolved person sort of being at odds and squaring each other, not necessarily on the same page. And again, maybe it is the primal nature that corrupts most people. And until, again, it's, I don't know, I've never necessarily thought of it in that way, but to try to integrate a shadow that is not healed is to invite chaos into your home. You know, I think sometimes semantics can help us tune into subtleties. And sometimes semantics are just like not necessary. But again, it's like, why would you bring, like, if something is radioactive and very unstable, why would you bring it into your home if it can go off at any moment? First, you would stabilize it and then you would bring it home. I don't know. But anyway, so we go from this square in between these two parts of the self, represented by Venus and Mars. But then after a certain threshold is reached, Venus moves into Aries. So Venus slides from the feminine side of Mars to the masculine side of Mars. Venus rises to meet Mars at its best, but that moves it into a trine. Now we have Mars and Leo trining Venus and Aries. Now that relationship is beyond harmonious and things are beyond effortless. Now it's stabilized. Now you can bring it home. And again, like with the keeper, we see her doing something over here and her doing something over here, and it affects this, which is, again, it's that energy of like two things as they merge together. It's almost like tectonic plates, I guess. As two things merge together, they begin to like push up into whatever. That's how trees are made. Kind of, I guess. That's how mountains are formed. There you go. Cool. And then again, even in the demiurge, we see them on the same page, working on the same thing, supporting the same thing. The priest and the, I'm trying to pick words that rhyme, but the warrior and the priest, the lover and the fighter. And again, maybe that's that, like, that's the energy of the heart coming up into the throat. It's like something, girl, I don't know. The curse. Maybe you won't be able to speak about it. I don't know. The curse and soul retrieval. Like if you are a Sagittarius with a platform or a Sagittarius with people in your life that are like, oh my gosh, you've changed so much. Like how? Maybe it's just like remember how much of a process the process has been. Because again, it's something about if you integrate an unhealed shadow, if you welcome something unstable, like radioactive and unstable into your home, it has a potential to cause chaos. Like first it was stabilized and then it was integrated. And maybe it's just like, don't forget the fine details or be mindful of the entirety of your journey. Which again takes me back to the shortcut of the thing that I uploaded randomly with no text besides the link to my community page the other day, where it's like there are certain shortcuts that are only shortcuts because you have a basic fundamental knowledge. But if you don't have that, it's just a squiggle that makes things like impossibly difficult, right? It's like you tell someone who only knows addition, right? Like, let's say there's someone who only knows addition and you have like two numbers, 5 and 7, and you're supposed to get 2 or -2, but they only know addition. Like before you tell them like, oh, 5 and 7, or like as you're explaining to them, you take 5 and 7 and you do this and you do that, and then you get 2. If they only know addition, they're going to get 12. You can try to say like, oh, well, you add like -5 to 7 to try to get them to understand like you're subtracting 5 from 7. But if they don't know subtraction, then it's like easy to be lost in translation, and it's easy for someone to end up in a place that it's not necessarily beneficial. And again, you don't necessarily have to have a platform or whatever, but as you are communicating with people, if someone asks you, oh my gosh, like, how did you get to this point? Remember, just be mindful that the journey of getting to this point that you're at is also important. And I feel like that's like the curse in soul retrieval, because it's almost like without a certain piece being retrieved, it plays out completely differently. Again, it's like integrating an unhealed shadow. It's like being something radioactive and unstable into the home and not expecting it to like irradiate everything and make things all weird. Now lightning is with the soul retrieval. I don't know. I don't know if that would be the case, but I don't know. It's just like be mindful. Or maybe it's like to also remind yourself of how far you've come. Or if you reach this point of integration and as you're emerging into something new, if you're asked to do something, or if you come upon an opportunity and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. It's like, remember everything that you've learned up until this point. Remember everything that you've learned on your journey. Be mindful of all the ways in which you have grown and matured and that you're not the same person that you used to be. So maybe that you a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago couldn't do whatever, but you're not that person anymore. And now you can. Because you don't have those pieces making everything weird and corrupting everything, because they are both healed and integrated, because you are whole. Oh, cool. It's starting to get warm. It always gets warm in this room. The thunder. The mystical shaman at the bottom of the deck. A Sagittarius who? Sagittarius what? Thunder and the curse. Oh my gosh. This energy is like, I don't want to say insane, but this, oh, that's weird. Oh. Oh, I don't know if I like this. was just like, oh, it's so warm. I'm getting so warm in here. There's like this, it feels like my spine is being chilled, and I feel something like here. I'm like, oh, girl, what's that? Ow. It doesn't like necessarily hurt. Now I feel like I'm cold from the inside, and it's just like weird. And I keep feeling this. No, that's the anatomical. It's closer to the anatomical heart, I guess, and not necessarily the heart chakra. But this is about like transformations to the body or the base. Okay. Now, whatever this is stopped, but I still feel like my spine feels cool, and it's a little weird. Thunder and the curse. Like, thunder is really, 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 really loud, especially if you're close to it. And the curse, this is something that is like silenced or not to be spoken. I think it's almost like if you were to, in the case and instance of like someone's like, oh my gosh, Sagittarius, like, how do you do this? How do you do what you do? And again, it's like you're trying to get them 5'7" to 2 instead of 5'7" 12 or a 5'7" 35 because, oh, like, well, if 12 isn't the answer, then maybe you add 5 7 times or you add 7 5 times. And then like they're on multiplication now. Like they're discovering multiplication because the addition isn't working because they haven't learned subtraction yet. They don't know how to get 2 from 5 and 7. But I guess you could pose it as like, well, what do you add to 5 to get 7? So if you know, like, you got to know how to talk to who you're talking to so that they can more clearly get whatever. But it's like in that case and instance, if you were to try to tell something, if you were to try to tell someone something that they're not ready to hear, your voice would be like thunder to them. Meaning it would just be like this loud boom that they can't really make any sense of. I mean, like when you hear thunder, do you hear anything in it? Maybe some people do hear words in the thunder. Thunder is the divine speaking to us through the skies, but our ears, it's just like we can't tune into it. So it's just this boom, whatever. But it could be like that. It would just sound like thunder to them. And hopefully it's not so close that it would burst the eardrum. You know what I mean? But because you are this mystical shaman, you have integrated the mystical and the divine into your body. But I think on another case, on the other instance, or the instance of self, like in that example of like maybe there was something that you couldn't do 5 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years ago that you are very much so more than capable of doing now. It's like what was muffled and silenced is now like loud and clear, clear as day. And it's that thunder. I don't know. So yeah, the vehicle for this, it's like there's a certain amount or there's a certain place of internal like peace or something that you've reached or some kind of internal mastery. This is the beginning of externalizing that or showing up in some kind of way, embodying that in the real world, in life in some kind of way that brings a similar energy of peace to the world around you or a similar energy of integration to the world around you. But it's like the keeper. It's not necessarily something that's said or communicated. Maybe the heart being in the throat chakra, like that speaking your dreams, but not necessarily being vulnerable, not necessarily being your whatever. Speaking your dreams, not necessarily being vulnerable. Maybe it's you learning to speak in a different way. like you're speaking energy out into the world instead of speaking words. It's like that. It's communicating the internal and putting it out in the external, but not as a word, not as something that someone could hear. It's putting it out as thunder. And it's a thunder that's not necessarily meant for human ears. But when you speak thunder, the heavens knows what you mean. And then things begin to like, it's almost like like it's a clear sunny day, right? You speak thunder, and then it's like one of those, like the clouds begin to move and the sky begins to darken, and then the sky begins to rumble. The clouds grow thick and gray and heavy, and then it rains. Because you spoke thunder to the heavens, and the heavens was like, thunder, got you. But if anybody else were to hear it, it'd just be like, oh, thunder on a clear day, that's weird. You know, I don't know. Metaphors. The arrow, oh my gosh, that's literally you. I put the cross on top of the arrow. And then thunder went on top of the staff. Under the staff is taming the wind. Under taming the wind is sacrifice. I picked it up because it was 55-44, 51, 55, 44, 1, the ancient ones. And then under the ancient ones is the eagle, who is the mystical shaman. You can see his little beak nose. The mystical shaman is the eagle. Cool. The jaguar, 28. The jaguar was under ancient ones. Cool, Sagittarius. But again, it's like, oh, look, then there's the rainmaker. That's how you make rain. You speak thunder, the clouds will know what to do. Cool. I would be like, I don't know if that makes sense, but also for the ones who it's for, they'll get it. Oh, who's that? The high priestess at the top of the deck. I was putting the keeper away. You're sitting right next to the high priestess. Again, if you speak thunder, the heavens know what you're talking about. And things on earth will rearrange themselves to make it make sense. Oh, you said thunder? Lightning and rain, baby. Come on, like what else is thunder? Hello, day. The keeper, the memory keeper, and the outlaw. As I'm shuffling, these two came out. The keeper and the memory keeper with the outlaw. This could be things that aren't necessarily specific to you. And by things that aren't necessarily specific to you, it's like, well, people, back when mankind and the divine were a lot closer, back when this knowledge was everywhere, like it was known. It's been outlawed for some reason, maybe because people are weird. People will start wars and covet that which they honestly don't even want or need, but just because someone else has it, they have to have it. And so it was like, oh yeah, girl, no. You can't, like the understanding of the language of the elements, the ability to speak thunder was taken away after people would show up in the middle of somebody else's town and speak terrible storms just to destroy them or whatever. You know what I mean? To make conquering the world easier. Like, girl, no, that's not what this is for. At least not anymore anyway. I don't know. It's a metaphor. All right. Oh, I'm getting hungry. Pisces, last and certainly least. I'm just kidding. Obviously. Ooh, girl, Sagittarius. Hello. I'll say 104.35. whoa, 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 whoa. What am I doing? I don't know. These are the noises. Hi, Pisces. Ew. So with Sagittarius, my back was cold. I feel like this cold is like taking over. Oh, there's a secret again. I feel like this cold is like, oh, I done bit the card. It feels like the Keeper and the Mages. Ooh. I feel like my legs are starting to get cold. My belly is cold. Like the front of me is starting to get cold and it's starting to like move down. I feel like my body is like about to fall asleep or something. It's weird. Not necessarily like I'm being like pulled out of my body, but I feel like if I try to imagine where Pisces is, it's like dark, but not. It's like deep in the ocean where it's dark, but there's like a ray of light, almost like the Five of Water, I think, in the Dreams of Gaia tarot, where like there are these rays of sunshine that come down. That is so weird. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my palm and I'm like, I have a picture of my palm, don't ask. Well, there was like this app that was like, I love taking personality quizzes and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, tell me about me. Which character would I be? Just to try to gauge if I really know myself, because I feel like I know me, but who doesn't feel like they know them? You know what I mean? So I'm like, do I know me really? And then when it works out, I'm like, okay, yeah, like I do. Do palms change? Because I feel like my palm changes like not all the time, but I feel like it definitely changes. It's this one. Maybe it was there. Anyway, sorry. Okay. Yeah, but that's where it feels like Pisces is. And it sounds like water. It sounds like the under the ocean noises. Sacred Cinnabar and the Mages. Okay. Pisces. I'm actually let's do this one first. I'm just feeling like cold. Fire in the Vision Quest, but it's like internally cold. After I was like, I'm getting hot. Sagittarius was like, oh, like, you want cold? Are you speaking cold? Because we can make your bones cold. I'm like, girl, now I'm going to freeze from the inside out. What is this? What is this? The Indian cross with the serpent at the bottom of the deck. I'm hungry. 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? Even numbers, interesting. 246. It feels like, so there was that like underwater with the light feeling. So there's this like vertical axis that the serpent is, and fire is behind the serpent. And then flow is behind fire. This could high key be like flow, fire, serpent, kundalini energy. But as the serpent, I'll put those back. The wrong order. It's almost like this is this vertical axis. But it's like, what about this? there's this other dimension or this other, yeah, dimension, like 1D, 2D, 3D. There's this other dimension that I feel like is as of yet unaccounted for. Oh gosh. Now I'm like starving. I just got hit with a massive hunger pang. Oh, the more I talk about it, the worse it gets. I'm like so hungry. I haven't eaten yet. I should have. Maybe that'll help. The keeper at the bottom of the deck. The keeper and the stronghold of the veil. All right, what's coming for Pisces? Is this going to be like something out of the blue? Oh, now I'm getting hungry and warm. I complained about being cold, and now my stomach is like, turn on the furnace. Let's heat them up. Let me not say anything, okay? Now I'm getting cold again. What is happening to me? I'm hot and I'm cold. I'm starving. Look at this. Oh, gosh. So the cards were like face down in that bridge. I let them hit the table and it turned face up. The necromancer and the contender, Pisces. Pisces, Saturn, and Leo, gateway of resurrection. With this contender, we see two snakes in the contender, but we only see the head of one. This snake, but we see that tail and that tail. Bottom of the deck is the Seven of Orbs. Seven of Orbs, Ace of Swords, Queen of Swords, Two of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, Two of Wands. 1, 2, 1, 2. The Seven of Pentacles is the gardener. And then we have Sacred Cinnabar, the Scarlet Shield, and the Blind Seer. I wonder if Pisces is almost in this like super manifestive energy. Because again, there was that feeling of like being in dark waters, but there being like the light that comes. This is both. The necromancer almost like is an energy that reaches into the dark and lights the way for a certain whatever. But excuse me, with the contender here, it's almost like there's a competition. Again, like the sperm and the egg from yesterday. There was the guy that was like, it's not one sperm that made a mad dash for the egg, and the egg just accepted the first rando that appeared. He's like, there are millions of sperm that reach the egg, and the egg chooses one. So there's like, this is the competition to fertilize the egg and to be birthed into the world. But with the gardener here, Seven of Pentacles, maybe that's a reminder to Pisces. Be mindful of what it is that you wish to see, that you wish to bring into the world. And this is almost like be impeccable with your word. What's that? The 4 agreements or something? Be impeccable with your word. But then there's like this Two of Swords, Minor High Priestess, which is almost interesting. I would say it's interesting for Pisces to be in this energy of like tapped into the void or whatever. It's like it's almost like because Pisces is there, one could assume that there's some kind of sight that they have, but this is like it feels like a reminder that we, girl, Pisces, you're still human. You don't know everything, and you won't know everything. It's possible that there will be consequences. It's not just consequences beyond your imagining, but it's also like things we don't know the order of things, if that makes sense. Like it almost reminds me of this super popular anime that I was watching. There was basically a necromancer. There was someone that had the ability to summon spirits from the other side, and then she would basically plant those spirits in a person. And she found the most powerful person that ever lived and planted his spirit within a body. The spirit was too strong for the body. The spirit took over the body, and then it ended up taking care of her. Um, but because of that, there was like this heartfelt reunion that happened in a like it was the father of one of the characters, but that character never knew who his father was. And his father was like basically at the end of it, his father was like, you know, are they taking care of you? And he was like, yeah. He was like, okay. And then he like moved on. But this guy, he was like, why are you asking if they're taking care of me? Like, who are you? I am your father. Anyway. uh, and maybe again, that's this energy that's very like, girl, one second. I love that. I can just bloop, and it like stops. Anyway, um, maybe that's this energy that again, like there's this that we know about, but there's all of this that I'm like, well, what about all of this? Two of Swords in reverse is like, what about it? It's not in reverse. The Two of Swords, again, minor high priestess. It's an understanding that there's so much that we don't know. And it is what it is. Yeah. The Ebony Shield and the Scarlet Shield. So that's what? Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Swords again. Queen of Swords here. Sanctum of the Valiant and Sanctum of Treasures. Almost giving a little like Elysium type energy. There are many things that wish to be resurrected. Awaken the Brilliance. Herald of the Flame. Interesting. All right, that's the one. Let's get into the how. Ooh. The Reaper and the Gardener. Bottom of the deck is the burdened one, Saturn and Sagittarius. I was literally just going to say like Sagittarius might be helpful for Pisces. Because Sagittarius has like navigated through the corrupt and has gained some kind of resistance to it or immunity. And it's like there are just these things competing for Piscean attention or whatever. Interesting. We'll see what that's about. The Reaper and the Gardener. And again, the Gardener is here. I don't think I ever noticed her jewelry. Now I'm like looking at the differences between the two gardeners. One is more decorated than the other. Like she's adorned with fine jewels. And we see her shovel. Because because the shovel and the reaper are here, this is like digging things up. Almost like weeding. It can either be weeding or it could be herb gathering. But if it's weeding, it's interesting because there's still like seeds. It feels like nothing has come above the surface. So, like, how would she even know what to weed? But with the Reaper here and with the underworld association of the Reaper, it sees into the roots. Also, the Necromancer is here, the Reaper and the Necromancer. Why is this like I brought you into this world and I could take you out type energy? The Hierophant with the burdened one. Oh, that was immediate. Oh, okay. Now the Herald of the Waters is at the bottom of the deck with a message of. We'll take this one. Okay. Like 3 cards. There's the Page of Wands again. Awaken the Brilliance. That's almost like my invitation still stands. Two of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles, Eight of Cups. The Tension, the Journeyman, and the Defector. This is the message of the Herald of the Waters, Inspire the Prodigy. That Page of Cups. Again, like there's almost this energy of like having invested in something and then potentially choosing to like walk away. It's pulling up something. It feels like the seeds haven't blossomed yet. So like maybe this is a Pisces that was navigating in the world in a certain type of way that had a certain idea of what it is that they wanted to experience because of what they knew about how the world works. But it's almost like with this new information of the Ace of Swords, there's a consideration. There's a moment of reconsideration. And again, with the Two of Swords, maybe it was like, well, back when I knew less. Again, it's not a super heavy link to Sagittarius, but Saturn in Sagittarius is here. Saturn is all over this. Saturn in Pisces, Saturn in Taurus, Saturn in Leo. 5 of Wands, 7 of Pentacles, 8 of Cups. We have Jupiter in Capricorn, Sun in Virgo. The Chancellor and the Shining Waters. Now I picked them up in reverse. And then the Vagabond, 5 of Pentacles, also came out. Yeah, maybe this is like a Pisces whose concept of justice has changed. Again, it feels like with more information, it's things not necessarily working out or playing out how Pisces would have necessarily thought. And that's why the seeds are being like pulled up. Or that's why the plants are being pulled up before they've even sprouted. because maybe there's a knowing that I don't know if it's what was done or if it's the way that it was done, but it's like it wouldn't be justice. Justice in reverse with the Knight of Cups. It wouldn't be what Pisces wanted. This is mutable water Pisces. Maybe that was Pisces at a time where they had a mindset and mentality that was very like Five of Pentacles. But it feels like it's the scarcity. Oh, snap. It's a Rob Kenobi. Hello. How art thou today? It's almost like I lost it. Rob, you stole my thought. I'm kidding. It's almost like not only when like Pisces didn't know better, but it's a feeling of like being isolated or being outside. And it's like, well, if it's just like it wasn't, whatever these seeds were, they weren't planted in the best of energies. And maybe this is, again, it's like Pisces trying to go back to the past to resurrect something. So like, let's say that Pisces was like, I want to have this experience. And then there were like things from the past. And Pisces is like, oh, like, let me go back and do that. And then it's almost like this energy of like, oh, Pisces is coming back. Pisces is coming back. Like, yeah, like Pisces me, like, you know, type of energy. And it's like all of these things. It's like Pisces went back to the past because of something that they weren't necessarily finding in the present at some kind of time. It's like the vision was clear. It's like Pisces could see 2, 3, 4, 5 years into the future, but the more immediate future they couldn't see. And so they went to the past to try to find something that they could cultivate and nurture into that 2, 3, 4, 5 year vision. And there were plenty of things in the past that were like, yeah, or maybe Pisces, maybe the eagerness was Pisces to go back to the past. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it could be this, it could be that. Either way. But again, there's some kind of myopic, like there's something about this that it doesn't cover the full spectrum. It's only the vertical axes, but not whatever. That makes sense. Oh, I wish I had my graphing calculator. This thing is dead. Boo. It's dead. Ouch. This thing is dead. Okay, I'm going to draw you a quick picture of what this looks like in my mind. We're getting mathematical. So like, okay, that's a little much. I don't need all that. So this is purely vertical, right? If you think of the XY axis, there's this knowing, oh, this line isn't straight, but that's fine. We're going to go red, orange, yellow. Okay, and then we'll do these in blue. And we'll do these. And then we'll do this one. Okay, so bear with me. It's like this. This is that serpent XY energy. So it's like 2 years red, 3 years orange, 4 years yellow, or whatever. Like it progresses red, orange, yellow. And this is the vision, the clear and accurate vision of something far out that Pisces sees, right? And let's say like we're crap. Just give me this card. Let's say we're like here. Oh, it's moving. Ah. Let's say we're like here, right? And so there is one that clearly looks like, oh, well, like if I'm supposed to be in the red, like I'll choose that dark blue line because it's the closest. Like these are the things from the past that Pisces sort of like projects to be, to fit, best fit, whatever this vision is. But like things like dip, right? Okay, too far. Now we're like here. Like it goes back down. It's like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have did that one. Now this one is on a steady incline. Eventually that purple line, because of the function, eventually it will slope up or whatever. This one is like up and down and up and down. The other two are up and down and up and down. That's not the point. The point is we take from the past without an understanding of how things play out in the future. Like this is yesterday, this is tomorrow. This is this x-axis that we're not seeing because the serpent only goes like up and down. And so at a certain point, I know. At a certain point, it feels like there's this information that Pisces comes across that may have been, I don't know if it was, we're going to focus on the snake being eaten by the bird. So like there's a certain amount of chaos that is reigning supreme in Pisces' life. And because of that, Pisces is like, here's this vision of stability. Let me find something that will get me there. But that was from a place again of like not having it or whatever. It's making the best choices we can with the information that's available to us. But again, after that awareness, when peace starts to come into Pisces' life, it's almost like they start to smell it, taste it, get a feel for it. And now they're more sensitive to it. And with an increased sensitivity to it, it's almost like it allows them to broaden the spectrum. And with enough time with a lot of things, if we are of a mind to see clearly and not what we wish to see, we can kind of sort of start to see the patterns and like, this isn't going to get me where it is that I need to go or where it is that I want to go. And so that is this. It's almost like pulling up the seeds because they're not gonna do whatever. Part of it is, I don't want to say it's the intention that Pisces had, but maybe it was. Or maybe again, it's just like a knack of knowledge, a lack of knowledge. And that's this. Again, like Two of Pentacles. The Two of Pentacles in this deck is almost more about cutting ties. And like walking away. But it's like, but you've invested so much time and energy and effort and all of this. And it's like, yeah, but like, again, it's a clarity of the understanding, of these graphs. Oh, look, all I had to do was zoom out. See, eventually the purple one reaches those points. And the other two just kind of sort of keep doing whatever it is that they're doing. So. But because this is the Andean cross, there's some element of something at least semi-divine. Or maybe more so divine or not divine. It's almost giving order. like the grand order of things or the grand ordering of things or how things will play out. This could be Pisces getting in tune with themselves. Like this is Pisces' inner fish. I don't know. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the past. It could be anything. The way that something presents. This one? I guess it's on the ground now. That balloon is just, it's a trooper. I got that balloon on my birthday. So almost 4 months ago. The little helium filled balloon that could. Cool. I feel like this one is kind of weird. And just in the fact that it feels like the takeaway is like Pisces, you don't know everything. And not only that, but it's like, don't try to force something to fit something else. Don't be lost in the potential of things. See things as they are. But it's not to get lost in the potential of it because, again, there's something about the x-axis that Pisces just isn't. I don't know. What's the sign of like width or breadth? I guess maybe it is Sagittarius. If I could imagine Pisces as like the y-axis, and then it would make sense for Sagittarius because it's the arrow, and arrows don't fly straight up unless you fire it straight up and it comes right back down. But typically, you fire an arrow out. And that would be the other side of Jupiter from Pisces. The only Jupiter we have on the table is Jupiter in Capricorn, the Two of Pentacles, the tension. Is that? I feel like that's it. Excuse me. I don't know what else to say. I didn't flip the coin this whole time. Like, I almost feel like something is undone, but maybe it's because I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to do this for Pisces. The Three of Cups, the Kindred, they all receive their own vision. It's a similar prophetic. Oh, okay. Well, or not. LOL. There's lovers again. Mystery of the covenant. Maybe it's just mystery. Maybe it's choices and decisions. The High Priestess, the Chancellor, the bereaved. This is so weird. This is Justice upright. This is the Chancellor upright. Take these as they resonate, if they resonate, when they resonate. Because this is almost like, because of the bereaved, this is Sanctuary of Isis and Isis again. Like this, but she does resurrect something. Isis resurrects Osiris. And again, the gateway of resurrection is here. So now it's this energy that it's like, it wasn't necessarily, it's almost like it wasn't necessarily the approach of Pisces that was wrong. It was just something else. My brain is Because again, it was this whole like, oh, well, Pisces went back to the past and tried to resurrect something and take it into the future. And like, it's not working. But here's the Chancellor and Isis. Like, there is something worth resurrecting, or there is something not necessarily from the past, but again, so it's like it wasn't the approach. It could have been this Five of Orbs. It could have been the space that Pisces was reaching back in. It could have been the way that Pisces was looking. It's like the way that Pisces felt or feels, influenced or influences the things that look more desirable in the past. And so maybe in some ways it was like for Pisces to experience things not working out. But the more that new information is solidified, the more that Pisces comes out of this vagabond Five of Pentacles energy, it's almost like there'll be one shining example. Now that's like the light. So it's like Pisces is fumbling in the dark, trying to feel its way to something worth bringing back to life or pursuing again or whatever. Now, this could also be Pisces within Pisces. It's almost giving like a hermit type energy. And again, it's because like this is the internal fish. This is one of the fish of Pisces. That's the other fish. This is like Pisces. Almost like how Sagittarius had the man and the beast, like two aspects of Sagittarius, but then Sagittarius feeds one to the other. This could easily be something that's like self-worth. I watched a video. It was like strangers. It was one of those strangers in a park in New York confession type videos. I watched a few of them last night, way later than I should have. I should have been asleep, but anyway. There were some people who had matured or realized certain things. It was the one like, tell me about the one who got away. It's like there's honestly just like some kind of maturing that needed to happen. There was one person who didn't feel like they deserved the one that got away. They didn't think they were good enough. They were like, that person deserves someone who's so much more special than I am or whatever. She was also young. And so maybe it's almost an energy that's like that. With this being Saturn and Leo, it is almost more of like this mindset of like, let me go back to something, or let me make a choice that I feel like doesn't require much of me, like the safe choice. But the safe choice is a pattern. And it's a pattern that, again, like the bottom two, it's a pattern that didn't work out or doesn't work out for a reason. And every now and then, like, it'll be encountered. Like, it's the up and down of it. But when Pisces breaks that pattern, it's like when Pisces gets a clarity of vision, that's when something begins to shine in the darkness. And that's when it's like, oh, it's that one. That's this. So again, it's like it wasn't the approach that was hindering whatever. It was Pisces's attitude or beliefs or the way that Pisces felt about themselves or whatever. Because again, that's the isolation, ostracization of the vagabond. Basically, it's like that when creating from lack, rather than it's like to lack something and to create from that lack, therefore perpetuating the lack, versus to know and acknowledge that there is something missing, tune into that, be complete within self, and then attract whatever. It's almost like Pisces goes from the sperm to the egg in a way. I don't know. Final cards. It's not even 2:00 yet. I want it to be done by 2 so that I could still be productive today. So that I could still be productive today. There are many things that I need to do. So many things that I need to do. The Emperor and the Malays. The Emperor and the Malays is like textbook dedication. Doing something because you know that it needs to be done, even if you don't feel like doing it. 1:46, 10, final cards. Gemini's like, oh my gosh, I only got like 17 minutes. Yeah, Gemini, you only got like 17 minutes. I don't even remember what Gemini was. What was Gemini? I just did it not too long ago, like an hour and a half ago. I don't remember. I don't remember. Oh, it was a sweat lodge. Yeah. Gemini's was about, it's like Gemini getting to a certain point and like whatever Gemini has to do, like, anyway. 4 cards. The journey came out upright. These 3 cards are at the bottom. The Witness. These 3 cards fell out in reverse on the table. The Witness and Fire and Time Master are at the bottom of the deck. The Witness, Fire, and Time Master. This is giving me like time loop energy. Because the time loop, obviously, but it's almost like something that happens again and again and over and over and over again. Almost like if fire is a candle, then this is a wind, this is a season where like the candle typically dims or is snuffed out or blown out. The Witness is there to observe whether or not the candle can continue burning, because if the candle continues to burn, even in the midst of heavy winds and pouring rains, and someone who is like, it's like when the candle becomes a trick candle, or like even if it's blown out, it's still whatever, then some kind of loop or some kind of cycle is like broken. The next phase of a journey commences. Oof. Oh, bottom of the deck. The Wind. There you go. See, Wind. Oh my gosh. The cards were face down. I closed my eyes. There's Wind right there. Wind, Heart of the Sky, and Luminous Warrior. The Witness is there to observe when we become this luminous warrior. And again, when our candle can maintain its flame regardless of external happenings. When that phase of the journey is complete, there's something else that we move into. And it's, at least for mutable signs, it is being witnessed. It has to be witnessed. And that was kind of some of Gemini's energy. But I think even with Sagittarius, because Gemini was the crow, that was like the more obvious witness. Sagittarius is It's like Sagittarius is witnessed when they speak thunder. When they speak thunder to the sky hears Sagittarius. Maybe Sagittarius is witnessed by some kind of freak thunderstorm. It's like, whoa, like it wasn't scheduled to rain over there today. What's going on? Like, oh, Sagittarius spoke thunder to the sky. Sagittarius spoke thunder to the sky? And it's like, yeah, oh my gosh, what? Humans haven't spoken thunder in centuries, millennia. Not since we rebooted Earth 5 times ago with all the cataclysmic flooding and heat and cold and whatever. Our fate rests on your shoulders, Sagittarius. Speak thunder before they turn over the board again. I don't know. I'm kidding. And then for Pisces, it was almost like Pisces was witnessing self in a way. Or for Pisces, it was to be witnessed by self. But Pisces, I guess Pisces almost felt like a test of, because it was like the answers were given to Pisces, like that Ace of Swords, Queen of Swords, Two of Swords energy. The intuition knew, that nudge was there, the inkling was there, but it was almost like, can Pisces overcome whatever ails their heart in order to see whatever, to make certain choices and decisions? And in that way, it's almost very similar to Virgo. Because I remember Virgo making choices and decisions despite how they personally felt, because it was the right thing to do type energy. The High Priestess, Sanctuary of Isis, and the Mages. Ooh, 21. Okay. Sanctuary of Isis, divine powers of the mortal spirit. Bottom of the deck is the tension. Things are starting to fray. These are the times where men become heroes. I'm kidding. There's the title card right under the tension. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't necessarily know what's on the other side. But for mutable signs, maybe it's like, will your fear of not knowing, 9 of Wands, 9 of Pentacles, will your fear of not knowing stop you from doing? And will it keep you where you are? Almost like a how badly do you need to know? Maybe that's a thing for mutable. I feel like every sign like wants to know and has a need to know. But I almost feel like knowing is attributed to the mutable signs, because you got Gemini, which is like finding out, which is utilizing a network, which is being tuned in, tapped into the grapevine. You got Virgo. What can I say about Virgo? You got Sagittarius, which is the sage, which is the scholar. And then you got Pisces, which is the intuitive. Like, it feels like with all the mutable signs, there's something about knowing in there. I don't know. I would say Virgo just like knows, but Virgo is in a world of their own. All right. I just saw the title card fly up in this one, but it didn't come out. So, ooh, 1:57. I got 3 minutes. Come on. Ooh, I gotta go to the party. There we go. Something flipped over. 3 cards: the Vagabond, the Ivory Shield, the Wish Granted. Bottom of the deck is the Force, the Tamed Lion. With a little bird. And that mystical sigil on its front, it's North Node energy. I think it is like the energy of the North Node. It's almost like to see beyond our circumstances, to see our wish fulfillment beyond our circumstances, to look beyond our circumstances and find the gateway, the pathway to our best lives, the lives that we dream of, the things that we dream of, the things that we're manifesting. But the ivory shield is in the way. This is the queen of BTFU, STFU. If you don't know what BTFU, STFU means, BTFU is back TF up. STFU was shut TF up and mind your business. She's my queen of BTFU, STFU, and mind your business. But I think there's partly this, like, if we were to carry internal toxicity into wish fulfillment, eventually the cups would be spoiled. Everything would taste bad because something on our tongue is changing, is affecting the chemistry of flavor. Our taste buds that can taste sweet are dead. The only taste buds that are alive are like salty or spicy or bitter. So we can't taste the sweetness in anything because the taste buds on the tongue are like, they're absent. They're not a part of the equation. And so it's almost like on the divine side of things, it's like we are kept from our wish fulfillment because our wishes would be spoiled anyway. On our side of things, it's like we don't even truly go after what it is that we desire because we're in this space of like being isolated, lonely, feeling like we're outside of whatever, feeling like we either don't deserve something or we feel entitled to something. But it's an entitlement that almost chases it away, or it's an entitlement that makes it really slippery. But, you know, North Node, when we become strong enough to face ourselves and our own inner nature, that's when we will almost naturally and effortlessly flow towards the very things that we desire. So thank you all for being here. Excuse me. This is these done. I'm proud of myself. Started and finished within days. Let's go. That was mutable signs. We already did cardinal signs and earth signs the first day, and we did fixed signs yesterday. So happy Cancer season. Happy summer solstice. Stay cool out there. Happy winter solstice if you're in the southern hemisphere. Full moon is tomorrow. Already did that. I guess I can focus on packing now and all of the other things that I need to do. So we'll see if you see me. Thank you, Kirsty and Rob and David and Holly for stopping by and saying hi. And yeah, thank you. I did. I don't know. I haven't told you. Oh, so no. I'll be moving because my lease is up in 10 days. And where I'll be going after that, I'm not sure. I would say I haven't decided yet, but I haven't really I'm putting a lot of imaginal manifesting tokens in a lot of different wells. But what am I physically doing? I'm doing this, and I'm playing games, and I'm watching anime, and now I'm packing up my place, not knowing where I'm going next. But yeah, it's an adventure. The fortune did say great fortune. The fortune cookie said great fortune awaits one who goes on an adventure or something like that. So we'll get there. When I know, you'll know. I'm pretty sure. All right. I got to go to the restroom. Thanks for stopping by. Bye. I hope you're all acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, you're in what you find. And I hope that wait, I already said that. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey what you find. It feels like a lot of this throughout all of these, maybe except for Pisces, but even with Pisces, it feels like a lot of these have been along the lines of like us seeing the truth of who we are and being our true selves in a way. So interesting, maybe. Whew.